I just started a new vanilla Minecraft survival series on the Hermitcraft server, and this is my starter base. I've built 2 wind turbines, which are, in theory, powering my little house over here. I also have a flock of animated geese, which I'm incredibly proud of, but that's besides the point. I personally think these wind turbines look absolutely adorable, but I can't get out of my head the fact that they kind of look like fans. And it turns out there's a reason for this. Time to head into a creative mode testing world. I was reading through the comments of the previous episode, and a few sciencey people were mentioning that the wind wouldn't pass through this, obviously, because it's solid, so thus the turbine wouldn't actually turn all that much. Like, for the blades to be moving at this speed with a design this inefficient, it would be chaos. I'm gonna be honest, these comments kept me up at night. I was trying my best to think of solutions to this. Obviously, with a traditional windmill, the sails would extend way past the structure and spin around like that, but I'm just powering trapdoors. That isn't really possible for me, but I probably can make something hollow. So let's give this a whirl. If I just create one of these, something like this, then send observer signals out like this, have them power blocks like this, and then place trapdoors on the faces of all of those blocks, and trapdoors on the inside of all of the blocks, and on the outside of all of the blocks. Then I think to keep this slim, I can probably use shelves on the corners. We should be in business. Now all I need to do is power this to turn it off, and then power it to turn it on, turn down my master volume, and immediately, what the heck? That is so much better. That immediately looks like that actually is a functional thing, and it's moving slightly slower. Oh my goodness, seeing these two together, that is endlessly better. That actually looks like it's being propelled by the wind. My goodness. Oh, that's such a simple, tiny change as well. Like, if I just chuck that on this. Oh. But I think we can go bigger. So now let's create a 7x7 area of observers going around like this. I'm using the exact same method as before. I've got all the trapdoors on the outside, now for all the trapdoors on the inside, and then all of the trapdoors on the outside. Then we have the shelves, and that should send a blade around. Now I'm thinking, for the center, how bad does it look if I just leave it static? It's not a good start, to be honest with you. It's not looking good, but I wonder if when we get 2 blades in, it will start to look okay. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, it's not dreadful, but definitely, yeah, we need some animated trapdoors in that central 3x3 area. Oh, and I don't really want a ring of observers in the middle there. Here's what I'm thinking. Light grey glass is really transparent. So if I can just build up something like this. These ones are going to be tricky to power. I wonder if we can leave those ones and only have the trapdoors on the top and bottom work, and then these almost act like smear frames. Smear frames are like motion blur frames that are used in hand-drawn animations, and I think your brain will fill in the gaps with the fence gates. I'm hoping they will anyway. Now, I just need to connect up the redstone, which actually, because observers are transparent, I can go up like this. But that transparency is a double-edged sword because it means I can't go down like this. So I'm having to do something really ugly here, but I guess this is just a proof of concept. Oh, have we got the timings right immediately? Hey, that's not terrible. I think it just needs a little bit of delay, and the pulse length needs to be extended a bit because this one here and this one here are flicking on too fast. It's a 1-tick pulse, so they're kind of appearing and disappearing too quickly. But this is not a bad start, you know. What if I make a 3-tick pulse? How does that look? Is that all right? Or 2 ticks? 2 ticks! 2 ticks! Turn everything off. Turn everything on with 2 blades. It looks good from back here. Let's have a look. Yes! Yes! Yes, they are working. Those 2 fence gates not being animated is not making a difference in my brain. Oh my goodness, that actually looks super cool. So we've got the small one, which now doesn't really look like a windmill or wind turbine at all. I still love this. I think this works really well. This is fantastic though. This is working perfectly. If I now increase the pulse length to 3 ticks, does that make it better? Well, I don't know. I think this is better, but I've just had a thought. What if I could get 3 blades going? So I've set up this circuit, which will send redstone pulses into this system 7 ticks apart from one another, which means that the blades should be almost perfectly evenly spaced. And that does look good. It does look good, but it looks a tiny bit more slushy. I'm not sure this middle section is working quite as well for the 3 blades as it does for the 2. We might have to come back to this one. For now, I want to see if I can make things even bigger. I think I might be reaching the limit where things definitely no longer look good. 100%. I've only had to do one corner to see this is not working. Okay, maybe I'm getting somewhere with this idea. And funnily enough, I've added a little bit of swish to the end, which I think if we can carry that through the entire design, then we might actually be onto a winner. You know what? I mean, I've been building these things for a long time. I am going slightly insane, but I actually think this is kind of worked out. Editor Mumbo here. What the heck was I talking about? That thing was wiggling all over the place. I'm deleting all the future clips that I have of me being positive about that one. Now, just as I was about to settle on the medium-sized design being the best, I decided to procrastinate a little bit by going on Reddit. And it turns out that wasn't a terrible idea because CK has designed a stop-motion windmill. This relies on frames instead of an observer clock, and it's pretty cool. Now, the first thing that came to mind to try and get rid of the block noise is to use dispensers with powdered snow instead, but honestly, this looks super redstone-y. I still can't stop laughing at that thing wiggling about in the background. So I've also decided to go down the same route as CK and I've created this. This red area is the area that I assume would be taken up with the windmill. You know what? This might actually end up working quite well with not that much visible redstone. Yeah, I mean, I've created a redstone clock here, and I've got the working animation going, and there's only a handful of redstone lines that are sitting on the outside. And I would say, yeah, with the proper decoration, I do think this would end up looking really, really cool. So now I'm left with a really tricky situation, because in theory, like, this is a considerably bigger windmill and looks more windmill-esque. However, this back here, even though there is more redstone, like, there's a lot more blocks and things making up part of it, I feel like I can use this in a build a lot easier. Like, I think I can integrate this ring into a nice looking structure, whereas this is very visible. This seems a lot harder to build around, whereas I think I can make this work. So now let's take that raw redstone contraption and start decorating. Now, my first goal for this is to maintain the same block palette that I used for the wind turbines on the Hermitcraft server. That's one thing that I think went really well. I love the look of the mangrove, all of the tough blocks, and the rusty copper. I love that combination, and I think that works nicely for the theme of the base. But with this build being slightly larger, I've got more opportunities to firstly add a handful of extra electrical gubbins and just random bits and bobs to the structure itself. But also I have more opportunities to play around with gradients and shading. So I've decided that for the base, I want to have almost like a reverse gradient from what you would expect. Normally things get darker towards the bottom, but I like the idea that this windmill is sort of shading the top of the base. I've tried to take into account the shadows underneath all the electrical bits, and I've even thrown in a handful of glass panes just to finish off the effect. Now, just out of pure curiosity, I also put the old windmill next to the new windmill. And I gotta say, I mean, firstly, you have to ignore the fact that they're both rotating in different directions, but I gotta say, I am a huge fan of the new design. This build on the right looks fantastic, but you kind of have to tell yourself that it is a wind turbine. This might be one of my favorite recent builds. It's just so incredibly satisfying. And the further I get away from it, the less and less you can actually see the redstone components on the inside. And now it just looks like it's powering itself. Oh my goodness, I just loaded it up with three blades, and that might be the winner, you know. With all of the extra detail and stuff, this now looks really good. This might be my new wallpaper. I just put shaders on just to see. It's like perfectly framed within the clouds as well. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm leaving my camera still. This is going to be my new screensaver, I reckon. This might be one of my favorite builds I've worked on, you know. This is ridiculously cool. Well, What an incredibly successful day this has been. I'm extremely excited to construct those on the Hermitcraft server. I think they will look brilliant in this base right here. And I guess that will all be happening at the start of the next Hermitcraft episode. I really do hope that you enjoyed this, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya!